I'm supposed to be trying to be a YouTuber now, and part of that means starting with some basically unplanned, poorly edited beginning videos about what my channel is going to mostly be about. The first one is the home inspection on the house I'm trying to buy. Well, some of the highlights from the inspection anyway. The whole thing took 2.5 hours or so, and I missed a lot of the stuff because I stopped following Alex the inspector so that I could get measurements. But if the sale goes through, then I can get to making all of the renovation live streams and videos that I want to, and I'm really looking forward to that. The inspection process is pretty neat and might give you some ideas of things to look for, but don't take this as any sort of like how-to home inspect video. I just pulled out some parts that I felt were more interesting.
I'm Alex with Startup Property Inspections, and there is our fancy realtor, Sean Rasmussen.
Late as usual.
That's okay, it's realtor time. So we're here just doing a walkthrough and an inspection for first thing we always talk about with any sort of what's going on, sir?
How you doing?
Okay, good. We're on camera, so good thing you're dressed.
Yeah, no, I agree, 100%.
So first thing, as most home inspectors will say, grading is the most important thing when it comes to the exterior, right? So as you can see, we have the ground that is sloping towards the house, so it's really important that you bump up the grading, because when it rains, all this water will be going towards the foundation, and same thing when we have lots of snowfall, right? All the snow will accumulate, and then once it melts, there's a high probability that moisture will intrude inside the house. So when we go downstairs to do the basement inspection, we're definitely gonna be looking for any sort of watermarks and mold, things like that, and rot. So pavers, right, make sure everything's nice and even, right? These are all little trip hazards. Of course, all these little gaps, you do want to seal them up, especially in the back. You'll see some vegetation's growing out, right? So it's just, again, basic maintenance once a year. Carpet, I'm never a big fan of it, just because we don't know what's going on behind it, especially in the wintertime when the carpet gets wet. It will cause some freeze-thaw cycles, right, and likely cause some spalling to the actual material.
Yep.
Right, so I mean,
This carpet doesn't hold water, though.
seriously? Oh, I was like, wow. Hey, you never know.
Listen to this guy.
Yeah, just like the opposite side, right, we got all these windows that are at grade, right? So windows are definitely recommended, but once again, keep in mind, you do have a walkway, and if you ever, like, are you planning on getting new windows come winter time?
I'm planning on a lot.
Okay, yeah, so I mean, like I said, before installing any window wells, if you're gonna make the windows to today's code, like, just plan that first.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I always like to have downspouts on every corner of the house. So the backside we don't have any, right? It is a pretty common thing to see, but you have to imagine that this whole section of the roof line of your hip roof, right? All the water's got to go to the front in the wintertime. Like, good luck.
Yeah, none at all.
When the house is built, this is probably okay, but now the electrical code requires 3.5 meters above any sort of walkway used by pedestrians. So when you do any sort of electrical upgrades, just consider getting a masthead, kind of like your neighbors did on their garage roof. You can't see from here, but
I wonder if I could mast it on the garage and then
You can.
bring the main into the house that way.
Yep. Definitely. I've done that lots.
Man, realtor's late, inspector's on his phone texting.
that's right. Now, one thing as well, you know, is that we have the siding that is below grade, right? So you're supposed to have 6-inch clearance below the siding and the earth, right? Because now,
Wow, it actually continues
yeah,
right
like,
down in there.
whatever. I mean, this flower bed, I would recommend just to get it gone, right? Because the sheathing could be rotted out below, right?
Yeah, the garage has to come up anyway.
Excuse me.
The garage has to come up.
We're going to lift the garage.
You're gonna lift the garage.
Have you been inside it yet?
No.
Okay, you'll see.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. No, I haven't been inside yet.
You'll strap the inside of the garage and then lift it up by 2.5 feet.
You're
and then
serious?
Set it
Yeah.
on the slab.
The cross wall you're talking about? Or it doesn't have a slab or what?
You'll see.
You'll see.
Okay. All right. This is a high efficiency furnace. Your intake is an ABS line, which is okay, and then your exhaust is the 636. You have a big filter here, which is fine, 16 by 25 by 5. This just means that you only have to replace this filter once or twice a year.
Yep.
I myself like the 1-inch filters, $5 each. Replace them every 3 months. Make sure the airflow arrow always points towards the furnace, and then write the installation date on the side so you remember. Right? Did an inspection yesterday afternoon. It hadn't been changed in 4 years. So,
Why do you prefer the 1-inch ones?
just so you can be, you can stay more on top of it, right? Because like a lot of times, if it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, people forget to check them, right? So I like the 1-inch one, so you kind of get into the habit of checking them every 3 months or so. Are we check here? Yeah, just hold on. So this is your condensation rate, obviously your average pressure rates condensate for the second heat changer, so all that moisture just gets pumped out.
It goes a long way.
Yeah, hey.
So you're checking every single connection.
All the ones that I can reach, you know, I'm 5'7", so I don't go crazy, but all the ones that I can, yeah, you bet. So you do have a high water volume, which is great in case the pump fails, but I always recommend backup batteries too, because if you lose,
Okay.
you know, if it rains, you lose power. And of course, extension cords should not be used to power any sort of fixed appliances.
This next section is a conversation between Alex and I about the state of the electrical in the house. It has 3 very important lessons in it, and I'll cut into the conversation after each point has been made.
Where's your disconnect?
The meter is the disconnect.
Where?
So this is something I told Sean about too. You can tell me if I'm wrong on this, but when you have to change out your panel, the way you disconnect is you pull this off the meter and you just pull the front of the meter off, and that disconnects everything below the meter.
Huh? Because you're not supposed to deal with these seals, right?
Well, you can get a homeowner permit for it.
For what, sorry?
To do that, to break that seal and replace your panel.
Okay. Well, I mean, a homeowner cannot replace a panel unless they're.
They can get a permit for it.
A homeowner to replace a panel?
Yeah.
What?
The only thing a homeowner can't get a permit to do work on their own home for is gas work. Everything else you can get a homeowner permit for.
Okay, that's news to me. Is that a Calgary thing or what?
I don't know if it doesn't apply anywhere else in Alberta, but
I'll call this.
I've checked, and I mean I could be wrong. There's a chance,
I'll
but
text my cousin. He's a master electrician in town, so.
Here's the first lesson. Always check current code and local bylaws for your area. Whether I had a bad source, probably some US made book I got for cheap from Home Depot, or code changed, or I just understood it wrong in the first place. The point is that now, as you can see in the edit preview, a homeowner cannot change the main panel.
I'll find out. So you're saying that a homeowner can pull permits to replace their own panel board, correct?
yes,
Okay, so
I know for 100% certain fact that homeowners can pull for sub panels, because I've done that
okay.
2 houses ago. Yeah, when I got the garage built, I pulled permit to put in a sub panel.
That's also wild. I live in Red Deer, and in Red Deer, we cannot put any circuit wires unless you are a qualified electrician.
Here's the second lesson. Ignore what anyone on YouTube, including me, says about what code requires. Your local bylaw situation is likely very different from theirs. In Calgary, where I live, I can tie into a main panel and add a sub panel and a whole bunch of other stuff. But as you can see in Red Deer, just about 1 hour north, the way most people drive, there's more restrictions.
You can't put new circuits in Red Deer
No.
as a.
Can't run anything. You can replace a breaker, that's about it. You cannot install additional circuit wiring, especially no panels or sub panels.
Because I mean, homeowners in Calgary can definitely do their entire own basement, fully permitted. And you know, you can't do a basement without new wiring, and new plumbing, and you know, new framing, and basically everything, right? So.
Yeah, like I said, we'll see. We'll see what he says.
So then we get to the last point here. Don't be afraid to be wrong. I was totally wrong about being allowed to swap my own main panel, though it'll be interesting to see if I'm right about the actual process or not. Future video later. I can claim points for being right about the sub panel and extra circuits, but if I hadn't gone to check what the rules actually are, I'd be in for some big delays and disappointing surprises.
So one thing to keep in mind with this Federal Pacific panel, these guys have a pretty bad reputation for the breakers not tripping.
Yeah, my last house had that too.
The breakers wouldn't trip?
I might or might not have done a little bit of live work and shorted something and not had the breaker trip.
Yeah.
And then I had to buy new wire cutters.
Wow. Stream good?
Stream good.
Wow.
I see.
Yeah, sure.
I've never played with one of these before.
Yeah, so I mean, just, yeah, those are soffits not venting, see, 30 degrees Celsius.
Oh, more than that.
Oh, at 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait for the attic space. Thanks. Okay, so do we want to, yeah, we got sleep, sweet. We're doing bets, what we'll find.
Orange.
Yeah.
Well, you'll probably have cast out of the house.
Totally, yeah.
Either you'll have, I would say you probably have Orangeburg out to the street, unfortunately.
Yeah, let's see.
What's your thing? What's your bet? If you had to place $1,000.
If I had to drop 1,000, I would guess that they've actually upgraded to clay. That's my guess.
Yeah?
Okay, so here we go. All right, who's gonna get whose pink slip, hey?
Yes.
Are you in a truck today, or is Sean
Uh,
getting a Jeep?
Grand. Ooh. I don't know if I like that trade.
That's a cheap truck.
You know, this could actually be asbestos sewer. Okay, so 29 feet. This is a really good line, by the way. This is like, I bet you this is asbestos pipe. 30.
You can close the city. Seems pretty good.
No, it's insane actually. So
That
10
camera is kind of terrible.
Thank you.
Well, it's like.
Do you want some water?
Yeah, and if once I hit the main, once we hit the municipal tying point, yeah. So 10-foot pops, like it's not clay. Like I said, I don't think it's Orangeburg. It's probably asbestos wrap, because it's. Oh, you got some roots. Still.
Barely.
Yeah, yeah. You won't be able to do anything with the auger for this one.
That actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's
Surprising. Look at the walls on that. That looks good. Usually you don't see them look that good.
no.
Like it's still nice and round.
Yeah. Turn that off.
Like I said, pretty rough, and I'm so sorry about the audio being just all over the place. Video production quality will improve. Live streaming though, I've got that pretty nailed. If you want to hang out on stream while I renovate this house, links in the usual place. And if watching paint dry isn't your thing, I'll be cutting the streams into videos as well. If everything goes through, I'll be starting work with lifting the garage by about 2 feet in mid-September. Be sure to tune in.